Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Do you remember when Martin was forced to pay the Anderson family a visit abroad? Mr. Johnston Sr. shifted his gaze to Jared and Nicole. The Anderson family? Are you talking about Luke's family? Nicole narrowed her brows and asked. You're right. I heard that Luke's daughter has been linked up with some influential family abroad and they're coming back for some prayers. However, I have no idea if that's true. Prayers? Nicole asked, shocked as she looked at Mr. Johnston Sr. Yeah. Why don't I know a single thing about it? Nicole looked at Jared in puzzlement. Jared shook his head as he had no idea too. Most of the people here had forgotten about the Anderson family. Besides, only a few of them would be coming back this time, and they're keeping it on the down low. This is why not many people know about this. Mr. Johnston Sr. explained. Grandpa, why didn't you tell me about this previously at all? Jared assumed a strange expression as he asked Mr. Johnston Sr. the question. You didn't bother to ask, Mr. Johnston Sr. replied. Jared issued a helpless sigh. There are no special occasions that would justify any need for prayers now, and yet, they came all the way back here. Isn't it a little? Nicole looked at Jared before she could complete her sentence. Jared could understand what Nicole was trying to say as his expression became solemn. Suddenly, the mental image of the figure that Nicole had spotted on the streets appeared before her. She had an inkling that things were really more complicated than she had thought after hearing what Mr. Johnston Sr. had said. Grandpa, what else do you know about the Anderson family? Nicole looked at Mr. Johnston Sr., trying to get every single piece of information about the Anderson family as soon as she could. It is said that the Andersons met the Defoes at a banquet after they had fled the country. However, the two families began to get closer and closer for some reason. After that, they announced the marriage between the two families, and the Defoes handed some of their properties to the Andersons to manage. That was when the Andersons started to become relevant again. Mr. Johnston Sr. said, telling her everything that he knew. Nicole became even more worried upon hearing what Mr. Johnston Sr. had said. It seems that Joyce has found someone to back her up, or else, she wouldn't be coming back for the prayers. I'm afraid that Martin hasn't known about this yet. I didn't know the Anderson family is so resilient. Thank you for even telling me something of such importance, Grandpa. Nicole looked at Mr. Johnston Sr. gratefully. We're family. There's no need to be so polite, Mr. Johnston Sr. said with a gentle smile. Mr. Johnston Sr. looked out of the window before shifting his gaze back to Jared and Nicole. It's getting late now. You guys should go home and get some rest. All right. We've already bothered you for long enough. It's time for us to go now. Be sure to take care of your health. I'll visit you again the next time I return, Nicole said as she stood up. Grandpa, we're leaving now. Jared stood up too. Mr. Johnston Sr. looked at them and nodded. While they were walking in the corridor, Jared asked, Are we going back to my place or Grandma's house tonight? Neither. I need to go and talk to Martin. Nicole looked into Jared's eyes and spoke. Jared returned the stare. He knew that she would want to tell Martin about these important developments as soon as possible. Okay then. Let's go there together. Don't you have something else to do? Nicole asked, not wanting to waste Jared's precious time as she could tell Martin about it on her own. Are you trying to get rid of me? Jared glanced at Nicole with an expression that seemed as though he was questioning her. Don't take it the wrong way. I was just afraid that you have something more important to do. Let's head out together then, Nicole said as she walked outside, after which she went to collect her car in the parking lot. Are you going to drive? Jared asked. What else can I do? I can't be leaving my car here, can I? Nicole looked at Jared. Max, take the car and leave, he ordered. Then, Jared approached Nicole's car and said, I'll drive. They left the hospital in their Lamborghini and made their way to where Martin was. Then, Nicole took her phone out and dialed Martin's number. Martin answered the phone after a few seconds. Hello, Nicole. Martin, where are you now? Nicole asked, requesting for his location directly. "I'm in the office in my factory." "What's up?" Martin asked. "Why are you still there?" "Never mind. Let's talk when we meet later. Wait for me in your office," Nicole said, and hung up thereafter. "What did he say?" Jared asked after noticing that Nicole had begun to look miffed. "Martin is still in his office in that factory. I have no idea what he's doing there," Nicole said, baffled. "The employees are still renovating the place. I guess he's just worried," Jared explained, as he was able to understand Martin's intention. Nicole frowned as she looked at Jared without saying another word. "You went back to your house today, right? How are your parents?" Jared shifted his gaze to Nicole and asked. "They're fine. My parents even made mentions about you as we spoke, and they said that they haven't seen you for a while now." "You went abroad, and besides, I've been busy too," Jared explained. "I know," Nicole said, not blaming him. Jared flashed her a faint smile before he asked, "Is Nora still living in the Riddle residence?" With Jared's sudden mention of Nora, Nicole paused for a second before she answered, "No. I heard that she had followed her parents home after they were discharged." "I see." Jared gave her a slight nod. Without Nora around, Nicole probably didn't have to deal with a nuisance in her home. Nicole looked at Jared, wanting to tell him about her parents urging her to get married sooner. However, they had only made brief mentions, and so, Nicole thought that it would be unnecessary to tell him now. As such, she changed her mind and swallowed her words. Suddenly, Jared's phone rang, prompting him to catch a glimpse of the caller ID before putting his phone down without answering the call. Noticing what he did, Nicole asked, "Why aren't you answering the call?" "Oh, it's not important," Jared said and flipped his phone over. Nicole paused and glanced at the back of his phone. Then, she looked away. They arrived at the Beacon factory, where a lot of workers were cleaning up the trash inside. Nicole got down from the car and looked over. "They seem pretty efficient. It'll probably take 2 weeks to get everything back to normal." Jared walked up to her and said, "Let's go. Martin is still waiting for us in his office." Nicole glanced at Jared before making her way to Martin's office. Up above, Martin was sitting on a chair while catching some rest with his eyes closed. Nicole and Jared walked in and knocked on the table. "Nicole, Mr. Johnston. You're here." Martin opened his eyes to see them standing in front of him. "You seem very tired. Have you not rested well for the past 2 days?" Nicole looked at Martin's bloodshot eyes. "Everyone's busy outside. Being the person in charge, how can I catch a break during times like these?" Martin got up and poured each of them a cup of water. "You don't have to do that. I came over. I have something I need to ask you." Nicole went to the couch and sat down, looking at Martin with a serious expression. Martin took a seat as well, and he proceeded to look at both Nicole and Jared with a puzzled expression. "What is it? What do you know about the McCarthy family's business abroad?" Nicole looked into his eyes and asked. Martin could not help but to furrow his brows when he heard the name McCarthy being uttered. "The McCarthy family? I have not heard a single thing about them ever since they migrated." Nicole then asked, "Does Joyce not contact you anymore?" Martin's eyes lit up the instant his memory was refreshed, and he said, "She called me once, but I didn't answer, nor did I call back." "What happened? Why did you bring up the subject about the McCarthy family?" Martin stared at Nicole with a look of confusion. He did not understood why Nicole had made mentions of the McCarthys. Nicole looked into Martin's eyes, and in a solemn tone of voice he said, "I heard that the McCarthy family has risen from the dead." "What do you mean, risen from the dead?" Martin stared at her for a moment, not understanding what Nicole had meant. The McCarthy family had married one of their daughters to a rather eminent family abroad. Things have been going really well for them. There are news about them making their return here to pay their forefathers some respect, Nicole said, spilling everything to Martin. Martin was left stunned for a moment when he heard about the news brought to him by Nicole. The sheer quantity and the nature of the information was too much for him to stomach. "I was shocked when I first heard it too," I did not expect Joyce to leech off a foreigner, Nicole said, helping herself to a sarcastic remark. Yeah. I didn't expect them to be so tenacious, Martin replied. He was bewildered, as he had never thought that the McCarthy's family would rise to the position they were in. This is not a big deal. We had settled the beef between us before they left the country. Well, it matters not whether they are here to pay respect to their forefathers, as long as we all mind our own business, Martin said with a calm look on his face. Certain that everything was over, Martin thought. As long as they don't bother us, and we don't bother them, things are going to be okay. Things are not as simple as you think it is. Jared looked at Martin with his deep-set eyes and warned him. Martin looked Jared in the eye and thought, what does Mr. Johnston mean? Jared, noticing that Martin had not understood what he meant, continued, there are a number of things that you can easily get over and not think about anymore. Sometimes, you wouldn't even react if they do happen again. But for some people, getting over a personal grudge isn't in the cards, especially those who were hurt during the process. Some people might do everything in their might to seek vengeance against those who've hurt them, just to let them know how it feels. Only then will they be satisfied. Barring that, nothing would stop them. Jared's words awoken Martin to the reality of the situation. It seems that I have to keep an eye out. Nicole, do you know when the McCarthys are going to return to pay their respects? Martin asked, his expression solemn. I don't know the exact date, but I will make sure to pay close attention. You should keep an eye out too, Nicole urged. Hearing this, Martin lowered his head slightly and began to think. A strange thing happened on my way to the hospital today. Nicole looked at the both of them. What's the matter? Jared gave Nicole a frown, with Martin staring at her as well. While I was waiting for the stoplight to turn green at the intersection, a familiar silhouette drove past my car. I couldn't see clearly who it was due to how fast they were, but I could see the outline of what looked to be a woman, Nicole said. It was then that Jared and Martin both thought of who the person could be, and glanced at each other at the same time. Jared then asked, who do you think it is? Nicole thought about it for a moment, and gradually she said, Joyce McCarthy. As soon as the two words exited her mouth, Martin gasped. Had she made an early return? It's hard to ascertain, but I do have a feeling that she had something to do with the fire at the factory, Nicole said, giving them a guess. I can't be. It was her who had set the factory on fire? Martin frowned in disbelief as he began pondering about it as well. There is no certainty as of now. Claus has yet to return with any sort of evidence, and we don't know for sure if Joyce McCarthy is in this city right now. This is all just our speculation. Nicole did not have the slightest clue, and her guess was all too sudden too. You have to be alert. Pay attention to the people and the things happening around you. Do not let your guard down until the truth has been discovered. I'm really worried that you'll be in danger, Nicole warned as she looked into Martin's eyes. Well, you should also pay attention too. She didn't like you very much either, Martin reminded. He still remembered the destructive acts that Joyce would engage in, out of jealousy for both Nicole and Jared. It's okay. If I find out that she did play a hand in the factory fire, I won't need her to come to me. The corners of Nicole's mouth curved ever so slightly, and as she spoke, her eyes became void of any sort of warmth, making it as though she could freeze whatever her sight pierced. Go home and catch some rest. I'm worried that you'll collapse after the rebuilding is done. If that happens, nobody will manage the factory. Nicole looked at Martin with a solemn expression, as she truly was concerned about Martin's physical condition. All right. I'll head back in a bit, Martin replied. Okay then, I guess that's all for now. Let's go. We'll contact you if we come across any new developments. After saying goodbye to Martin, Nicole and Jared left the factory, with Martin waving his hand at them as he watched them leave in their car. Then, with the intent of finding out what the progress was, he approached the employees who were busy working and asked, How's the cleaning going? We've cleaned more than half of it. It'll probably be done by tomorrow morning, one of them replied. Good job everyone. Charles, go and buy everyone some food later, Martin ordered. Yes sir, Charles uttered in response. Thank you sir, the rest of his employees said. Martin smiled and waved his hands, after which he walked around to inspect the scene. In the car, Jared was looking at Nicole, but before he could speak, Nicole said, "Let's head back to your villa." Jared looked at her in surprise. "Why are you not going to your grandma's today?" "I'm worried. It's nothing." Nicole stuttered as she could not find it in herself to blurt what she had wanted to say. "I'd like to hear you out." Jared always had a smile on his face, making it seem as if teasing Nicole was his greatest pleasure. "I don't want to tell you." Nicole crossed her arms and looked forward. The Lamborghini whooshed its way down the street, and soon after, they arrived at Jared's villa. After parking the car, the pair got out and made their way into the villa together. "What would you like to eat?" Jared asked. Nicole noticed her stomach was empty. 2 portions of steaks. "You're not a picky eater, and yet here you are, ordering steak at such a late hour." Jared looked at her and made a beeline for the kitchen with a smile. "Since you'd like to have steak, why don't you come in and give me a hand?" Jared's culinary skills meant that her assistance was not required, but being in the kitchen by himself could prove to be boring, and so he called her in, hoping she could keep him company while he was at it. "Jared, since when have you required assistance when you cook?" Nicole took her coat off and strutted off to the kitchen. Jared looked at her with a smile and did not utter another word. He knew that he had gotten what he wanted when she came over. "What do I need to do?" Nicole looked at him and asked. "Wipe my sweat off me," Jared said with a smile. Hearing that, Nicole was stunned for a moment. Is he out of his mind? He just started and there's no sweat. "Jared, there's not even a drop of sweat. What am I even wiping?" Nicole looked at him, puzzled. "Impossible. I can already feel it. You're not planning to idle around, are you?" Jared said, deliberately messing with her. Unconvinced, Nicole stared at him and said, "I'm not, okay?" Then, she grabbed a towel and carefully wiped the imaginary sweat off his forehead. "Jared, can you lower your head a little?" Nicole asked after a few wipes, and when he did, he was inches away from sticking his face onto hers, making it possible for him to smell the fragrance of her hair. "Is this distance all right for you? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" Nicole gently pushed his face away, and continued wiping away. "Wasn't it you who told me to lower my head? Why, what's up?" he asked, before an imperceptible smirk appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Don't you think you have lowered your head a bit too much? You're basically sticking it right into my face," Nicole retorted. "He's so awful at playing tricks on me." "Oh really?" And there I was, wondering why it was so smooth and smells like perfume. Jared said with a visible look of dissatisfaction. "What's with that look on your face? You don't like it?" Nicole bit her lower lip and stared at him with a threatening look. "No, I like it. You're helping me by wiping the sweat off me," Jared insisted. "I'm not wiping anymore. There's always more no matter how often I wipe it." Nicole placed the towel down and stood aside to watch Jared cook. "Fine, you can stop with the wiping then. There's an apron over there, help me out and bring it over here," Jared ordered, already thinking of other ways to torment her. Nicole glanced at him helplessly and thought, "It was I who wanted to have steak. I guess I have no choice but to bite. Here's the apron you wanted." Nicole handed the apron to him. Jared spread his arms, deliberately looking at the greasy stains on his hands, after which he pretended to wear the apron, and failing to do so even after several attempts. Nicole, who was standing at the side, issued a sigh while he waited for her to help him out. "Stop moving. I'll tie it up for you." Nicole wrapped the apron around his waist, prompting the corners of Jared's mouth to twitch in triumph. "It's fastened." "Thank you." Jared looked at her with a smile on his lips. "Hurry up and cook the steak. I'm starving." Nicole looked at the steak on the grill and her stomach growled. "All right. It'll be ready soon." Jared gave Nicole a doting look, after which he started grilling the steak with utmost seriousness. Jared brought the steak into the dining room after they were cooked. By then, Nicole was already holding a knife and a fork, ready to taste the steak. Then he looked at Nicole, who looked like a toddler waiting to be fed, and smiled. "Are you that hungry? Did you not eat much at the Riddles?" "I did." Every dish was tasty, and they were all my favorites too, Nicole replied, salivating when she thought of the lunch she had had at noon. Really? I should have gone there with you earlier, Jared joked. Nicole then proceeded to cut a piece of steak and chew it. It's so tender. Your grilled steak is the best. You have to pay for my delicious steak, Jared joked. Okay. Name the price. Nicole continued to eat with a look of nonchalance. Aren't you afraid that I'll name a hefty price? Jared looked at her. Nope. No matter how expensive a steak is, I won't go broke. Nicole glanced at Jared. She had expected that Jared would not accept her money, and so, she was confident that she would do just fine. Indeed, but what if money isn't the mode of payment? Jared asked, the corner of his mouth lifting ever so slightly with a wicked glint in his eyes. Nicole paused as she was cutting her steak, whereupon she lifted her head to look at Jared. What does he mean? And what's that mode of payment you're talking about? Nicole asked Jared with probing eyes. Chill. Don't worry about it. Have your meal first. Jared comforted her with a smile and proceeded to eat his steak contentedly. Wow, the steak today is really good, he bragged. Nicole nervously finished her steak and was prepared to leave the dining room under Jared's gaze. I'm done eating. You can take your time. Nicole slowly climbed the flight of stairs, after which she hurried into her room and locked the door. Then, she breathed a sigh of relief. Jared felt that it was hilarious to see her scurrying away like a frightened bunny and shook his head. Then, he placed his utensils down and made his way upstairs. Upon passing Nicole's room, he paused. Nicole was sitting on her bed when she heard his footfalls outside, and that was when her heart tightened. He's not going to come in, is he? After a second had passed, the thudding of his footfalls quickened and dissipated entirely. Relief flooded Nicole at once. Jared went into his study and sat down, and when he took his phone out, he saw a message from his subordinates abroad. Mr. Johnston, we found Henry. He seems to have taken refuge with a foreigner. There are bodyguards following him everywhere. We can't get close to him. Foreigners. Jared could not help but think that Henry's contacts were all locals. The chief executives from around the world knew about him, and no one would dare to cross the Johnston family just to protect him. Who would be the one willing to take him in? Launch an investigation into the background of the foreigner who took him in. Do not let Henry find out about who you are. Yes, sir. Then, Jared called Max and instructed, track the movement of the McCarthys and confirm whether Joyce is in the country. Yes, sir, Max replied. After hanging up, Jared began to cogitate, his eyes showing a wave of unrest. It was then that his phone sounded out with the notification tone. Thinking it was a message from one of his men abroad, he picked his phone up to check. Mr. Johnston, what have you been busy with? Why didn't you have the time to answer my call? As it turned out, it was sent by Fiorella. Jared sighed and thought, why is she still pining over me? Jared replied perfunctorily, as it would be rude to just ignore the text. There are too many things for me to deal with as of recent. I am busy during the day. I must have missed it. I've heard about the fire at the Beacon factory. Don't get too angry, things will get better with time. Fiorella comforted him. Are you going to your office tomorrow? Jared stared at the message she had sent and ceased all of his responses for a moment. What does she mean? She's not going to come to the office to find me, is she? I'm not sure. Jared replied in ambiguous fashion. It's okay. Are you going to the office or Martin's? I know the address to both locations. Anyway, it's already late. I won't bother you anymore. Please get some rest. It must have been very stressful these days. I'll see you tomorrow. Fiorella texted and sent him a good night emoticon. Jared stared at Fiorella's messages in shock. What is wrong with Fiorella? Is she really going to come over to find me tomorrow? If she does bump into Nicole, there would be a huge misunderstanding. I'm too busy to keep you company these days, Miss Fisher. I'll visit you some other day. Jared quickly edited his text and sent it before he awaited her reply. Minutes passed and still, a reply was not seen. It seems that she must have slept. At this point, Jared was worried about what he should do the next day, and after a while, he raised his head. He could only allow the chips fall where they might. He walked out of his study and towards Nicole's room. Then, he pushed the door with his hands just to find that they did not budge. "You locked the door. Do you think it can keep me out?" Jared's mouth curled slightly, and he walked away before coming back with a key. Nicole was falling asleep on the bed when she suddenly heard someone unlocking the door. Alarmed, she immediately turned the light on and sat up, staring at the door with her eyes wide open. "It's broken." "He seems to have the key," Nicole murmured. The door opened with a click. It was the sixth key that Jared had tried. If he could not open the door with the keys, he would have tore the door down, but as it did, he pushed it open and walked in. He thought Nicole was fast asleep on the bed and did not expect the bedroom light to be on with Nicole sitting on the bed whilst looking at him. "Why haven't you slept?" Jared looked at Nicole in surprise. "I was about to fall asleep, and you woke me up." Nicole looked at him in the eye with dismay. "So, I woke you up?" Jared placed the bunch of keys he had in his hands on the table and walked towards the bed. "Yeah, that's right, and why are you here?" a wary Nicole asked. Jared smiled at the sound of Nicole's words. "Of course I'm here to sleep. What do you think I am doing?" It was then that he slowly approached Nicole. "Don't come any closer." Nicole shrank back without knowing it. "What are you afraid of?" Jared looked at Nicole with an evil glint in his eyes as she looked at him with her eyes half open. It was obvious she was feeling very sleepy. "You can sleep in peace." Jared went over and laid down gently with his arms around her. Then, Nicole fell asleep peacefully in Jared's arms. After that, the two of them slept until the sun rose. Nicole was woken up by the sound of her phone. She fumbled around carelessly and ended up touching Jared. Furrowing her eyebrows, she was instantly awake. Then, she immediately withdrew her hand with her heart pounding. At this point, Jared was also partially awake. He looked up and found Nicole sitting there in a daze. "What are you doing?" Jared's voice suddenly sounded, which almost startled Nicole into falling off from the bed. Seeing this, Jared quickly grabbed her and pulled her into his arms before pinning her onto the bed. The two looked at each other with Nicole's heart pounding even faster than before. Why are you awake?" Nicole murmured as she looked into Jared's eyes. "Aren't you the one who woke me up?" Jared helped smoothen her messy hair, and as the gentle teasing caused Nicole to bring her hands up to her chest, Jared took this opportunity to plant a light kiss on her face. He sat up with a smile and looked at her. "Are you going to get up anytime soon?" Nicole immediately sat up upon hearing Jared's question. She then searched around for her phone and looked through it. Having gotten a missed call from Claus, she immediately called back. "Claus, have the results returned?" Nicole asked. "Yes." "Okay, wait there. I'll be there right away." Nicole hastily hung up, put on a change of clothes, and walked out. "Where are you going?" Jared asked, seeing that she was in a hurry. "I'm going to the factory. The test results came out," Nicole said, and was about to leave when Jared stopped her. "Wait. What's up?" "Since the results are out, there's no need to rush. I'll head over with you after we have had our breakfast," Jared said calmly as he put his clothes on. "Aren't you going to the office today?" Nicole looked at Jared in surprise. Isn't his company filled with things waiting for him to deal with? She thought. "I'll send you there as I need to see the results too." Jared walked past her and went downstairs. Nicole followed him into the dining room where Jared then quickly made 2 servings of breakfast and ate before driving them to Martin's factory. When they arrived at Martin's office, both Claus and Martin were already there, looking at the test results. Noticing that Nicole and Jared were walking in, Claus hurriedly brought the results over to them. "Mr. Johnston, Ms. Riddle, have a look," he said. Nicole took the sheet and examined it carefully with Jared by her side doing the same. As they progressed from the second to the last line, her expression became progressively more indignant. Without knowing it, her brows had narrowed to the point that they looked to be knitted together. "Look." Nicole handed it to Jared. It seems that this was the thing that had caused the fire, Jared said after reading the test sheet. That's right. Martin, do you have this in your factory? Nicole asked Martin. Martin pondered for a moment before he shook his head and said, No. Are you sure? I am sure. The raw materials in the factory were used to produce the beacon's medical equipment. This thing is a volatile chemical which we have no need for, and so, it'd make no sense for us to purchase it, Martin firmly denied. Now things are beginning to come to light. Since it's not from the factory, it must have been brought in by someone else. Nicole's eyes narrowed. You must investigate the workers in the factory. Inspect everyone other than yourself, Nicole confessed, looking into Martin's eyes. Is this necessary? Martin asked, worried about the workers' reactions, and how they would be affected. Yes. Nicole answered him firmly. By the way, one question. Have you recruited any new employees as of recent? Nicole asked, having suddenly thought about it. I did. Last week, the maintenance guy was too busy. They insisted that we get more hands on deck. They have been working hard, so I agreed to it. Martin looked at Jared and Nicole as he recalled. How many people were recruited? There were 5. Focus on investigating these 5 people, Jared advised. Okay. I'll do so right away, Martin said. Wait. Nicole stopped Martin, who was about to leave. Is there something else? Martin whirled around to look at Nicole. Find an excuse to do so. The last thing you'd want to do is spook them, Nicole advised. Okay. Martin went out after they were done speaking. Then, Nicole turned to look at Claus and said, You have worked really hard. Go home and get some rest. You're welcome. This is just what I do, Claus said respectfully, and looked at Jared, who nodded before the latter proceeded to leave. Nicole glanced at Jared and said, They really are your men. I can't order them around. Well, of course, if they take orders from everyone, would they still be my men? If you want him to listen to you, I can order him to do so, Jared said as he looked at her. No, you better keep him for yourself. There's nothing important here anymore. Go back to your office and get busy, Nicole urged Jared. Are you going to stay here? Jared looked at her and asked. Not really. Maybe I'll go home in a while, or do you want me to accompany you to the office? Nicole raised her eyebrows as she eyed him. Jared thought, if she wanted to, she could think about it. Jared initially wanted to bring her to the office, but when he suddenly remembered the text message Fiorella had sent him last night, he decided not to, as Fiorella would come to the office to find him today. That won't be necessary. You've worked hard enough. Why don't you go back to your grandma's and have a good rest? It's been a few days since you came home. Your work abroad must still be waiting for you, right? Jared said, attempting to balance between his own interests in her and his wish to prevent another misunderstanding. Makes sense, she said. It's about time I return to Lanningborg. It's an important week, after all. In that case, I won't be sending you off. I'll see you tonight. Nicole waved at him. See you tonight. Jared hugged her and walked out. From the window upstairs, Nicole watched as Jared got in his car and left. She then sat down and calmly pondered. Who was the person who started the fire? Is there anyone backing them up? Why did they burn the factory down if someone was behind it? Was it a case of jealousy after they had seen the beacon? Or was it Joyce, who probably came back for revenge? Or is there someone else? Many questions kept popping up in Nicole's mind. After a while, Martin walked in, and noticing that Jared was not there, he asked, Where's Mr. Johnston? Nicole raised her head and looked at Martin. He had left. Have you started your investigation? It's already in motion. At first, everyone was anxious, but after I reassured them, things became all right. The 5 newly recruited are being investigated now, right? Nicole asked Martin. Heading to the direction of the Sea View Villa, she proceeded to make her way back to visit Mrs. Wallace Sr. before leaving, as the latter would think that Nicole had gone missing if she did not. As soon as Jared arrived at the office, an assistant walked over to meet him. Mr. Johnston, the directors are waiting for you in the conference room. Jared frowned and looked at the assistant. What are they here for? The reasons they're here seems to be related to the fire at the beacon factory. The assistant said, having gotten information about the beacon factory incident. Let's go take a look. Jared changed and made his way to the conference room. Jared pushed the door open and walked in. The conference was silent for a moment. No one dared to speak. Seeing this, Jared sat at the head of the table, looking at everyone. What brings everyone here today? After a while, an elderly man looked at Jared and asked, Mr. Johnston, did we invest in Martin's Beacon Company? What are you trying to say? Jared looked at the person who had spoken and asked. The man shrank at once, whereupon he looked at Jared with a smile and said, we all heard about the fire at the Beacon factory, and we happen to be the major shareholders over there, and that is why I must ask, what caused the fire, Mr. Johnston? Will it affect our investment? Do you all have the same questions? Jared asked whilst looking around without giving them a direct answer. Seeing that no one was speaking, Jared continued, the cause of the fire is still under investigation. The results should be available soon. As for the investment, I don't think it will be affected. After all, the beacon is still considered a world-class device. We have high-end products like these. Are we still worried that there will be no clients? However, the fire had indeed caused us to lose a lot in terms of our investments. Now that the cost has not been recovered, all prospects in relation to the beacon are in question. Besides, who can guarantee whether the same disaster won't happen again? A middle-aged man questioned. Do you really wish to see another disaster happening to the beacon industry? Or does the fire at the beacon having anything to do with you? Jared shifted all the blame on him in one sentence, causing everyone in the meeting room to immediately focus their attention on that person. Why are you looking at me like that? Why would I want something disastrous to happen to the beacon? I am also a part of the investment, the man retorted. Mr. Johnston, you have done me dirty by saying this. I've been looking forward to the success of the beacon before it was too late. What does that have to do with the fire? You can't just say something that's slanderous, as it would cause everyone to be suspicious of me, the middle-aged man said as he became nervous. His face was pale, and he could not afford to have something like the disaster attributed to him. Jared glanced at him coldly and thought, he really is a wimp. All I did was scare him a little and he's already petrified. What a chicken. Jared's tactic worked, as he wanted the board of directors to make fools out of themselves. Once they had kept mum, Jared continued, the investments I have made over the years are obvious to everyone. Of all the projects we've been involved in, which one isn't lining your pockets with revenue? I didn't see you guys coming here to thank me when I paid you all the dividends, but now that something as trivial as this had occurred, you showed up here with your knickers in knots. It would be a joke if people knew about this. Anyway, you're all veterans here, Jared continued. So tell me, why are you uncertain about this matter? Anyway, I have other things to take care of, so I won't be arranging dinner for any of us. Jared said, his words causing everyone present in the room to flush as they got up to bid him goodbye. Wait a minute. Jared suddenly called out to stop the middle-aged man who had questioned him earlier. The middle-aged man suddenly shivered, looked at Jared with his head lowered, and forced a smile. Jared could not help but look upon the gesture in disgust, as it looked uglier than an ugly cry. Next time round, if you hear any gossip, don't be in such a hurry to jump to conclusions. At least take the time to understand what the issue is, and let your brain process the situation before you spew your take. Do you understand? Jared reprimanded in a cold and harsh tone of voice. The man was so frightened that a layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead at once, causing him to nod and bow in a gesture of apology. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnston. It was because I was confused and wasn't able to think clearly. I won't dare to do so again next time. No. Actually, there won't even be a next time. Very well. Jared said, not listening to the words that the man had spluttered out. Okay. The middle-aged man hurriedly left the conference room, not daring to even turn his head around.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.